Documentary script, Grant's secret attack that broke the Confederacy, Bruce Catton. When Bruce Catton uncovered a confidential telegram buried in the War Department archives for over 90 years, his hands trembled. Not from the document's age, but from what was written on it, definitive proof that Grant had orchestrated the most brilliant and secret attack in American military history. For 4 decades, Catton had studied every one of Grant's moves, every decision, every battle. But it was only when he deciphered that coded telegram, dated March 29, 1865, that he realized a shocking truth. What everyone thought was a series of disconnected attacks was, in fact, a coordinated secret operation that broke the Confederacy's backbone. Catton never suspected that document would completely change his understanding of the Civil War's end. What he discovered in those encrypted lines wasn't just a military strategy. It was proof that Grant had executed the most devastating psychological attack in American history, a blow so secret that not even his own generals understood what was happening. Bruce Catton was never just a military historian. He was an archaeologist of secrets. And in 1963, at 63 years old, he was still obsessed with the same question that had haunted him for decades. How did Grant manage to destroy the Confederacy so quickly after years of brutal war? Catton realized that all historians before him had focused on the obvious battles: Petersburg, Richmond, Appomattox. But then he understood something revolutionary. Sometimes the most devastating attacks don't happen on battlefields. They happen in the enemy's mind. It was a cold November afternoon when Catton found the telegram. He had spent weeks in the National Archives, immersed in military correspondence no one had touched since the war. His hands were covered in centuries-old dust, but his eyes gleamed with the excitement of a detective about to solve the case of the century. Operation Trident. Implement Blue Code. Simultaneous in all sectors, USG. Catton read that line and felt his heart stop. During his research, he realized he had found something that would change everything. Grant hadn't just defeated Lee. He had executed a psychological operation so sophisticated that the Confederacy collapsed from within. That night, Catton couldn't sleep a wink. He knew he had uncovered the most well-kept secret of the Civil War. His entire career, he had tried to understand how Grant managed to get a proud, determined Confederate army to simply give up. Now he had the answer. Catton never forgot the moment he finally deciphered the complete code. That's when he had the epiphany. Grant hadn't just planned a military campaign. He had orchestrated a psychological campaign that attacked something much deeper than fortifications and armies. He attacked the very soul of Confederate resistance. To understand what Catton discovered, we need to go back to the final months of 1864. While all eyes were fixed on Petersburg, Grant was executing something far more ambitious, a coordinated attack on targets no one considered militarily important, but which were psychologically devastating. Catton discovered that between December 1864 and March 1865, Grant secretly orchestrated dozens of simultaneous attacks on small towns, secondary railroads, and farms across the Confederacy. Individually, these attacks seemed insignificant. But Catton noticed the brilliant pattern. Grant was attacking the Confederate identity, not just their army. During his research, Catton found Confederate intelligence reports that revealed something shocking. As early as January 1865, Confederate agents were reporting that the enemy seems to be everywhere at once. Grant had created the illusion of military omnipresence. That's when Catton understood the true genius of the operation. Grant hadn't just dispersed his forces. He had coordinated each attack to happen at the same moment, creating a devastating psychological effect. The Confederacy woke up one morning and found itself being attacked on 50 different fronts simultaneously. Catton never imagined a military strategy could be so psychologically sophisticated. He discovered that Grant had studied not just military tactics, but crowd psychology. The general had understood something revolutionary. You don't defeat a people by attacking their strength. You defeat them by attacking their hope. The Confederate newspapers from March 1865 that Catton discovered told a story of increasing despair, simultaneous attacks in Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia. The Confederate civilian population began to realize there was no safe place, no refuge, no hope that the war could be won. "We don't know where the enemy will strike next. It seems they are everywhere," a Confederate soldier wrote to his wife. Catton realized Grant had achieved something no general in history had attempted. He turned his tactical dispersion into an absolute psychological advantage. During his research, Catton understood that this secret attack wasn't just about conquered territories. It was about shattered hopes. Grant had discovered how to break not just the Confederate Army, but the Confederate spirit. And it all happened without anyone realizing it was happening. It was almost dawn when Bruce Catton finally understood the full magnitude of what Grant had done. He had been at his desk for 16 hours, surrounded by over 300 documents, when the most shocking revelation of his career hit him like a tsunami. Grant hadn't just won the Civil War. He had completely reinvented the concept of psychological warfare. Catton realized that this secret attack was the first example in history of modern information warfare, executed 100 years before anyone coined the term. Catton discovered something even more extraordinary in Grant's personal diaries. The general had conceived the entire operation alone, working in absolute secrecy for months. Not even Lincoln knew the full details. Grant had become a strategist of a sophistication that transcended anything seen before in American warfare. During his research, Catton understood that the true genius of the secret attack wasn't in the physical damage caused. It was in the psychological domino effect. Each small attack amplified the terror of the next. The Confederacy wasn't just losing battles. It was losing faith in the possibility of victory. It was at that moment in Catton's career that he understood the deepest truth about strategic leadership. Military geniuses are not those who win the hardest battles. They are those who make battles unnecessary by winning the war in the enemy's mind. Catton never forgot that moment of revelation. He realized he had spent decades studying battles, casualties, troop movements, but he had missed the most important element: the exact moment Grant transformed military war into psychological war. Suddenly, everything made sense to Catton. Lee didn't surrender because he was militarily defeated at Appomattox. He surrendered because Grant's secret attack had made the continuation of the war psychologically impossible. The Confederacy had lost before the final battle even began. During his research, Catton discovered that Grant had executed the most devastating attack in American history without firing a single unnecessary shot. He had broken the Confederacy by attacking something no general had thought to attack before: the collective imagination of the enemy. When Bruce Catton finally revealed his discovery about Grant's secret attack, the Pentagon immediately classified his findings. Modern generals realized that Catton had uncovered the foundations of modern psychological warfare, executed a century earlier by a man who had never formally studied the subject. Grant wasn't just a general, Catton declared at a secret military conference in 1965. He was an intuitive psychologist who understood something we took a century to rediscover: you win wars by conquering minds, not territories. Catton's discovery revolutionized not only military history, but modern military doctrine itself. Academies around the world began studying Grant's Trident attack as the perfect example of how to destroy enemy morale without destroying one's own resources. Declassified documents decades later revealed that the CIA used Catton's findings to develop psychological operations during the Cold War. Grant had unknowingly invented the foundations of modern information warfare. Catton visited every site of Grant's secret attacks, many of them now prosperous towns that never knew they had been targets of one of history's most sophisticated military operations. He used to stand at these locations, trying to imagine how Grant had coordinated everything with 1865 technology. Grant didn't need satellites, computers, or modern communications, Catton wrote in his memoirs. He had something far more powerful: an intuitive understanding of how the human mind reacts to coordinated fear. In the last years of his life, Bruce Catton often said that discovering Grant's secret attack taught him more about strategic leadership than all his combined academic studies. Grant had discovered how to win a war without having to fight every battle. Catton's discovery about Grant's secret attack transcended military history. CEOs, political strategists, international negotiators all study how Grant managed to completely demotivate his opposition through seemingly minor coordinated actions. Catton spent his final years exploring the modern implications of that discovery. He had found definitive proof that Grant wasn't just a courageous general. He was a strategist of a psychological sophistication that anticipated modern information warfare concepts by a full century. That telegram Catton discovered in 1963 is now classified in the most secure archives of the American government. But its true importance isn't in the document. It's in the lesson Bruce Catton extracted from it: that truly decisive victories don't happen when you defeat the enemy. They happen when you make the enemy defeat themselves. Grant broke the Confederacy without breaking his own forces. Catton broke our understanding of war without breaking our respect for history. And us. we have the opportunity to apply this revolutionary strategy to our own challenges. Because we all face confederacies that seem impossible to defeat. The question is, will you attack directly like everyone else, or will you uncover the secret attack that will make victory inevitable? If Bruce Catton's revolutionary discovery about Grant's strategic genius impacted you as much as it impacted modern military doctrine, subscribe to the channel for more explosive revelations that forever changed our understanding of leadership, strategy, and human nature. And tell us in the comments, what was the most effective secret attack you've ever witnessed or executed?